all summer with Tempstar. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC service and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel. Support comes from Ohio's 529 College Advantage, helping families save tax-free for college and career training nationwide for 35 years. Information on Ohio's 529 can be found at collegeadvantage.com/Bobcats. Support comes from O'Neill Hartman Insurance, a full-service, third-generation, locally owned agency focusing on building personal relationships and providing professional service to individuals and businesses. Information on the web and on Facebook. Additional support from Donato's Pizza, featuring pizza, subs, salads, and catering from their Athens location at 688 East State Street. Information at donatospizza.com or 740-592-5049.
Tonight on Gridiron Glory, teams fight for conference championships and playoff seeding as the regular season comes to a close. Plus, as Portsmouth West looks to dethrone the reigning SOC champion, we analyze the backfield duo behind their offensive success. And in our game of the week, Sheridan looks to keep their decade-long winning streak alive against cross-county rival New Lexington.
All that and more because Gridiron Glory starts right now! Yeah!
The boys of fall came out in full force this evening for the last week of the regular season. Welcome back to Gridiron Glory. I'm your host, Haley Hollinger. Tonight is clinch or crack, whether that be for the throne of a conference or for a spot in the playoffs. So this evening, we've got 4 conference title games with a couple more in the extra point. And of course, just like any other week, playoffs are on the line. The difference is this is the last chance to secure a spot. The first matchup on our docket is between Fisher Catholic and Grove City Christian. And a win tonight would be historic for the Eagles, but the Irish will do everything in their power to force Grove City to share a potential conference title. And joining us now with all of the details is MSL reporter Jake Collins. And Jake, there's playoff complications on the line too, right?
Haley, in this matchup, Fisher Catholic can clinch a playoff spot with a victory, but they got to do it against one of the best defenses in our coverage area. Check out Grove City Christian's dominance on defense in the regular season, and yes, that is 6 shutout performances before tonight's matchup. In their 5 conference games, the Eagles only gave up a single touchdown, but they are fresh off a loss to Worthington Christian, where they allowed the most points since Week 3's loss. So, you got to be able to learn from your mistakes. But it's an important senior night for the Fighting Irish, and they came out with a statement. Grant Kiefer juggles the ball and immediately slings it to the right pylon here to receiver Hyde O'Reilly for the first score. Fisher Catholic would miss the PAT to make it 6-0, and GCC tried to answer with Douglas Housley rolling right and throwing it deep to Josiah Harmeyer down to the 30-yard line, and it seems like the Eagles are rolling. But with it being 4th down, Caden Carroll would get stuffed right here at the line of scrimmage, and he would just come up just a couple yards short of the first down marker. The Fighting Irish would only drive down the field to the red zone, and Kiefer finds O'Reilly a second time to make this a 2-score lead just before halftime. GCC was able to score before half and drove down the field to begin the second half. But wait, as you see here, Carroll's going to break through the second level. He's being chased, but he's going to dive into the end zone right here to tie it at 14. GCC got the ball back with about 14 seconds left. Housley's going to throw this rocket over the linebacker and into the hands of William Dahmer to get the go-ahead score. The Fighting Irish get one more chance in GCC's territory. Kiefer slings it over the middle, but it's over the head of the wide receiver. Incomplete, no flag. GCC survives this thriller to improve to 8-2. Whew. Haley, that game was unbelievable. You couldn't ask for a better game in Week 10.
No, I don't think so. And what a way for both teams to end the season. But how did Fisher Catholic give GCC a run for their money?
Well, it came down to efficiency on 3rd and 4th down conversions. Fisher Catholic did a phenomenal job extending their drives and controlling the clock. This would limit GCC drives in the first half, and it didn't allow for the Eagles' offense to find their groove.
So the Fighting Irish found their stride, but how was GCC answering it?
I mean, GCC struggled to match Fisher Catholic's efficiency in the first half, but the second half was just a different story.
So what changed?
They finally found their step in the run game as Carroll was getting chunk play after chunk play. And these clips you are seeing, Haley, Carroll is scratching and clawing for every yard that he can get. Not to mention the momentum boost these types of plays have for his teammates gets them fired up too. And it didn't help Fisher Catholic when GCC had the explosive plays through the air as well, including this connection that set up the eventual go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter. And fans, it's official. Grove City Christian wins their first outright MSL Cardinal title, a feat that the Eagles have been waiting since they joined the conference in 2013. Miller finished second at 5-1, and for the rest of the Cardinals, they duked it out for the remaining spots as most teams found a couple conference wins. Haley, it was a blast to watch a new conference champion be crowned, and you know the GCC faithful are excited for a potential playoff run.
I bet. Thanks so much, Jake. Now let's get our first look at the playoffs. These seedings are unofficial, according to Joe Eitel. We will see a little movement. You just saw the Eagles survive against the Fighting Irish, and that effort punched their ticket to a home playoff game for now. They'll square off against the Eastern Eagles, who are set to play Southern tomorrow. Rivals Fort Fry and Waterford are both locked into the top 5, but they're waiting to see who gets to host 2 playoff games. As of now, it's the Cadets. And moving on to Region 27. Fisher Catholic has clinched a playoff spot and are waiting to see if they're at home or on the road next week. Unofficially, they will head to Catholic Central. Miller has clinched at least top 8 seed and unofficially sit at 4th in the region. Trimble is currently projected to be the 6th seed. Both Southern and Fairfield Christian have clinched a playoff spot. Portsmouth West and Wheelersburg have been duking it out for the SOC championship for 3 years now. And after losing to Berg last year, the Senators added some weapons to their arsenal. Earlier this week, reporter Donovan Varney stopped by a Portsmouth West practice to hear from their running back duo.
2,099 yards. That's nearly 21 times on a football field, and that's exactly how many rushing yards the Portsmouth West duo of Mason Parker and Anthony Bishop have combined for through 9 games this season. Bishop's a sophomore, and you might recognize him as the brother of former Gridiron Player of the Year candidate Jeffrey Bishop. After Jeffrey graduated last season, Anthony built a bond with Parker that extended beyond the football field.
This summer, hung out all the time. We made it important that we build a special bond so we can represent that on the field and actually put the work in together.
On the year, Bishop has over 1,100 yards, while Parker, a senior, is only 14 yards away from the 1,000-yard mark.
I mean, it's like a 1-2 punch. I mean, you get punched once, you're like, you get punched twice, you're like, dang, I don't want to do that anymore.
So far this season, Parker and Bishop have exploded for 25 touchdowns, and while Bishop has played one more game, each averaged 123 yards a contest. With 88% of Portsmouth West's yards being gained on the ground this season, head coach Todd Gilliland considers his offense to be balanced behind Bishop and Parker.
You know, the way we kind of look at being balanced is the number of touches each guy gets. Maybe not necessarily, you know, being a 50-50 throw team versus run or something like that, but we look at like how many touches each person gets.
Between the two, there have been 327 carries this season, and in all other statistical categories, they're nearly the same.
Mason does a really nice job of being a downhill runner, you know, in the power game, and Anthony's kind of does a really nice job running the counter and balancing things. You know, they each have their own little skill set that complements each other really well.
After starting the season 0-2, the Senators have clawed their way back to the top of the conference and will compete for an SOC championship tonight against Wheelersburg.
Well, let's see how they did tonight. And joining us now live is SOC reporter Donovan Varney.
Yeah, guys, I'm at Portsmouth West High School, where the Wheelersburg Pirates travel to tonight for the long-awaited SOC championship game. This is the 3rd year in a row that these two have faced off in the conference championship, and Berg took the crown last year, and they are looking to go back-to-back this year. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it, all right? So tonight is the Halloween Bowl at The Rock in Portsmouth, and I promise y'all things got scary tonight. After a punt for the Senators in the first drive, the Pirates came out passing. Play action, Rucker on the roll, and a beautiful ball would find Brady Doss in the back of the end zone. But don't worry, Senators fans, next drive, Anthony Bishop carried the Berg defenders all the way down the field, and Mason Parker would do the rest here. Coach was right earlier. He's downhill indeed. Give Parker 1,000 yards on the season and give him 6 on the scoreboard. A missed 2-point has Berg up by 1 into the second, and Elijah Brown made a statement early for the Pirates. Lost his shoe, doesn't need it. He leaves his shoe and the defense in the dust on his way to a 45-yard touchdown. And to add insult to injury, the ball gets loose on P. West's next drive. Kenyon Evans recovers it. Berg takes back over. And here's Rucker. This guy is as dynamic as they come. Rolls out left, switches field to the right, and takes it in himself. Berg extends the lead to 21-6 at the half, and the Pirates keep the Senators scoreless in the second to become back-to-back SOC champs, winning this one 36-6. Haley, this was a complete game for Berg tonight. They brought home their 37th SOC championship, and for two teams that traditionally run the rock, I saw a lot of passes tonight.
Yeah, I think you and I both expected to see a game decided in the trenches, but why was it different tonight?
Yeah, honestly, I think Berg was just trying to throw off the P West defense, right? They didn't completely abandon the run, but they most certainly didn't rely on it like in weeks past.
Yeah, Pirates quarterback Braylon Rucker has utilized the QB run a lot, but how did he look through the air?
This was the best we've seen him pass the ball all season. 3 passing touchdowns and no turnovers for Wheelersburg on offense tonight. Little mistakes for P West made them play catch-up, like one momentum-killing fumble and an interception that about sealed the deal.
You talked about the duo of Mason Parker and Anthony Bishop earlier. How'd they do tonight?
While Parker did hit his 1,000-yard mark on the season, he had a quieter game than usual. He did find the end zone for the Senators' only score, but it seemed like tonight Anthony Bishop had his name written all over this one. Bishop led the team in rushing yards and receiving yards, and I don't think there was a single play he didn't shed off 1 or 2 defenders in the process. So when it's all said and done, here's how the regular season wrapped up. Berg takes the conference crown, and Portsmouth West finishes at 2nd place. Northwest finishes the regular season on a high note and ties Waverly for 3rd in the conference, while Valley, Minford, and Oak Hill round out the last 3 spots. Haley, after tonight, I can confidently say
I would say this Berg team is ready for the playoffs. Thanks, Donovan. Get back safe. Now let's talk playoffs for a moment. Wheelersburg is in Region 19, so we'll start there. Unofficially, Ironton sits as the #1 team in the region, with former OVC rival Fairland behind them in #2. Nelsonville York is in the 6th seed. They are projected to face Union Local. West Muskingum and Portsmouth appear to have locked up the final 2 home games in the region, while Amanda Clear Creek will have to play their first playoff game on the road. Piketon, Coldgrove, Wheelersburg, and Zane Trace all appear to be in the playoffs as well. Next up, we've got Region 24. The Senators might have lost this week, but they have unofficially clinched a top 4 seed. Paint Valley and Rock Hill are both projected to be a top 8 seed, with the Bearcats currently in 6th and the Redmen in 7th. Valley is on the bubble and hasn't yet clinched a playoff spot. They are currently projected to be the last squad in Region 24. Now, every week we set out to bring you as much football as we possibly can with the Extra Point. Tonight we have 5 extra games for you all, and kicking us off is Chesapeake and Fairland. The Dragons came into tonight with an agenda with the OVC outright. To win the OVC outright, they came out swinging. Here's running back Lucas Bompus with the first touchdown of the game after a 25-yard run to get his guys to the red zone. But Panther Andrew Isaacs was up next. He ran it in to put the Chesapeake up 7-6. Fairland went up again at the end of the half with a Jack Hayden to Connor Black TD. The Dragons furthered their lead in the second half, winning 48-13 to become OVC champs. Up next, we've got another conference clincher with Unioto and Southeastern. Sherman Braden White snags an interception early on, setting a school record of 15 career interceptions and setting his squad up for a tutty. Cody Braden doubles it with a score of his own to put Unioto up by 14. With back-to-back SBC titles on the line, the Shermans were laying it on thick, and who better than Blake Hoops to help run up the score. Unioto took the game and the SBC title. Let's jump right into the next, Tri-Valley at John Glenn. Max Lyles started the Scotties off strong with a beautiful pass to Cade Hindle to put Tri-Valley up 7. This might look like a replay, but I promise it's a different drive entirely. It's Lyle again, this time to Ryan LaMonica, 14-0 Scotties. The Little Muskies would then recover a fumble and take it all the way to get within a score, but ultimately the Scotties ran away with it to win the MVL big. Let's dip over to Chillicothe now for their match against Jackson. The Ironmen came out hungry for the FAC. Bodie Wolford let one loose to Ryan Simets, and Simets took it the rest of the way to go up 7. But watch out. Have you ever seen a Cavalier and Wildcat? Well, now you have. Carte Ligon runs it in, making it a tie ball game. Chillicothe tried to keep their momentum going, but Charlie Woodard had other plans. The Ironmen won the game 43-14 and the FAC title along with it. And for our last Extra Point game tonight, Waterford and Belpre. These Cats came out of the gates bucking. Here's Colton Jones with his first interception of the night, and not too long after, he grabs his second for Waterford's first score of the game. Jones was unstoppable. I mean, this was his 4th tutty of the night. Let's give Wildcat Trevin Zimmer some love, too. He tallied up a couple touchdowns as well to help take Waterford to win the game and the TVC Hawking. Let's keep trucking with the TVC talk. with the Athens Bulldogs and the Nelsonville York Buckeyes. These two have been dominant throughout the Ohio all season, so it all comes down to this. TVC Ohio reporter Shane Scalfiro joins us now with the latest.
Haley, it's time to crown a conference champion, but think back to last season. Athens won this very game to upset the Buckeyes and take second in the conference. That win led to Athens to end the regular season on a 5-game win streak, and now that streak is at 14. And if you look at the stats, it's easy to see how they got here. Athens started the 2023 campaign at 1-4, averaging 20 points per game, while allowing 25.6 points with a point differential of -28. Since then, they've doubled their points scored at over 40 a game. Defensively, they've allowed just over 11 points every week. And just look at that point differential, plus 409. The Bulldogs have been tearing it up. Boston Field, the site for this matchup. Right away, it's Athens with the ball. 4th down, quarterback Daniel Heitland looking to throw, and it's picked off. After discussion, it's called incomplete. Either way, Buckeyes ball. Fast forward to the beginning of the second quarter, same drive. Handoff is to Austin Gaudier, and he finds his hole and scores. NY strikes first. After a massive kick return by Leo Martin, Alex Pirro is set up for a diving TD. It's all tied at 7. Buckeyes back on offense. Dakota Cunningham powers in and barely breaks the plane. NY up 13-7 into halftime. Midway through the third quarter, same score, Athens ball. Daniel Heitland fakes the handoff and fires to Leo Martin, breaks a tackle and a second tackle. He's saying bye, bye, bye. He gives Athens their first lead of the night, 14-13. Let's get to the final series of the game. Buckeyes on the goal line, chance to take the game. First and goal, Gaudier is stuffed. Second and third down the same. 4th down, game on the line. Handoff to Dakota Cunningham, powers in, takes a second for the call, but he's in for the touchdown. The clock hits 0. Buckeyes players and fans storm the field. They take home the TVC Ohio title and hand the Bulldogs their first loss on the season, winning 19-14.
Wow, what a great game. I can't believe the Bulldogs only scored 7 in the first half. What slowed them down?
Honestly, there's a couple big factors that helped keep them out of the end zone. First off, penalties. The Athens defense jumped offside 3 times in the first half, keeping NY's offense on the field. Speaking of that NY offense, they ran a lot of clock. Just look at the first quarter, they drained around 9 minutes off the clock on their opening drive. They forced the Bulldogs to try and play nearly perfect football.
Let's stay on that offensive side. I know both of these teams have all-star running backs.
That they do. Let's start with senior Bulldog Alex Pirro. You can tell the game plan was to slow him down. He ended the night with 25 carries for 94 yards and a TD. Still good, but different from his average of 113 yards per game. Now for NY junior Austin Gaudier, he was a workhorse in this one with 29 carries, 133 yards, and a touchdown. His ability to bounce it outside complements other players running between the tackles and was crucial to their win.
I want to touch on that last series for NY again. I mean, it seemed pretty crazy.
Oh, it was indeed. Both coaches called timeouts to get into the right play, and you can tell it was very close of a call. Ultimately, it got called a TD, and the rest is history. Let's look at the final standings. NY wins outright. Athens takes second. Vinton County owns third, and with their win over Wellston tonight. Meigs finishes in 4th, followed by Wellston in 5th. Rounding it out is Alexander in 6th and River Valley in 7th. This game could easily be in consideration for Game of the Year, but now it's time for both of these teams to focus on playoffs.
Yeah, it's a nice thing that they both get home games round 1. Thanks so much, Shane. And for more on this game and others, make sure you check out our Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube accounts. We are always adding new content like photos, recaps, and highlights throughout the week. And of course, don't forget about the pregame huddle segments released during the week for preview segments of all of our Showtime games. If it's SEO football you're looking for, you know we've got it. Now let's keep chugging along with the second ever TSL title matchup. The Marietta Tigers and the Warren Warriors are just 2 of the 4 teams in this conference that are currently tied for first. And back to break it down, we have TSL reporter Ashley Fry.
Haley, coming into tonight, Marietta and Warren are 1 step away from their first ever TSL title, but the only thing keeping them from it is each other. Tonight's winner will take the conference alongside the winner of Fort Fry at Point Pleasant. So we're in Vincent for TSL title play tonight, and I know Marietta is the Tigers, but they've got that dog in them. That's because this is an opening drive onside kick by Braxton Lang, who also recovered the ball. Yeah, he just kicked the ball to himself. This set Marietta up for a short Kobe Alexander run, 7-0 Marietta right off the bat. Now we're looking at Warren as Nick Seeley drops back, finds his man Tanner Pepper 47 yards in the distance, and Pepper will take it the rest of the way to the house. A Marietta field goal, and it's Warren again. One play after a huge 40-yard run by Aiden Strahler, Eric Carr will pick up where he left off and finish the drive 40 yards into the end zone. 14-10 Warren, and you can just not escape Eric Carr's name because it's written all over this game. Next Warren drive, Sealy to Eric Carr, and Carr to the end zone. He knows it well. 21-10 Warriors. Marietta ball and quarterback Drew Warden is about to drop 10 cents on this play because that is a dime. 50 yards to Owen Riley, who catches it with a Warren defender on his back. 21-16 Warren heading into the half. And Warren would hold on to this lead, taking this one and a TSL championship with a final score of 35-16.
Yeah, wow, Ashley, that's a huge win for Warren and their first ever TSL title, but from the looks of it, this was absolutely a game.
Yeah, there was not a single point in this entire matchup where the fans weren't on the edge of their seats. And this started with that onside kick and recovery by Marietta. Not something you see executed so well or often in high school football, and this was just the beginning of notable plays by special teams for both squads. Later on in the night, Warren special teams had a partially blocked punt and a recovery that put Warren on their own 42, as well as a huge kick return that set the Warriors up for a touchdown 2 plays later. So special teams obviously showed out on all sides of the ball tonight, but we have to talk about Warren's offense because Marietta beat Warren last year by 4, so this is what made the change that resulted in tonight. Warren's run game was a huge contributor throughout the night. Between Eric Carr and Tanner Pepper, Warren is a team that forces you to defend every inch of the football field. But speaking of run game, this was something that Marietta struggled with tonight, and that's because Warren's defense shut it down consistently. Warren's front seven did not break. They stood their ground and forced fourth down turnovers time and time again. Marietta was solid on offense tonight, but at the end of the day, Warren took this one on both sides of the ball. So obviously this game was one half of the TSL championship, but we have to talk about the other. So this is what we're looking at the state of the TSL for tonight. After tonight's win against Marietta, Warren takes their first ever TSL championship, and their co-champion, repeating their shared TSL title from last year, is the Fort Bragg Cadets. Warren wasn't the only team finding revenge tonight, as the Cadets rewrote last year's 20-13 loss to Point Pleasant, dominating them 35-7 tonight. But a TSL title isn't the only thing Fort Frye and Warren clinched. Because of these wins, Fort Frye will host Week 1 of the playoffs at home, and Warren will see Week 11 for the first time since 2021.
Wow, that's impressive. Thanks, Ashley. And for Fan of the Week this week, we traveled to Sheridan, and it was packed, not just on the general side, but in the away stands as well. So the energy in there was indescribable, which is why we're just going to have to show you.
Why, or just school spirit?
Because we're better than UX.
It's red theme. Can you tell us about your fit real quick? Little fit check.
Got a tutu on.
Okay.
Pretty fired.
Well, there was a stuffed animal being passed around the student section.
Yes.
What is that?
It's a panther with a sword in it.
Who do you think's gonna win tonight?
Sharon!
Woo. Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah, UX.
Would you say you're one of the biggest fans here right now?
Absolutely, I am the biggest. The
biggest?
I'd say so, yes, absolutely. I love Sheridan with my whole heart.
So who do you think's gonna win tonight?
UX, me, I'm winning.
You're winning?
Catching 12 Hail Mary touchdowns.
Can I ask anybody here and they're gonna tell me the same thing?
Most would, some would not though.
If I ask her right now?
Go ahead, ask Miley.
Is he the biggest fan here?
Yes, he's the biggest fan here. He's our student section leader, actually.
You're the leader.
I am, yes.
Who do you think's gonna win?
Red.
So, after talk with you, we have decided that you are Gridiron Glory's Fan of the Week.
Oh, wow, thank you. Means a lot, thank you. Sorry about that.
That's why you're Fan of the Week, it's okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much to everyone we talked to this evening. Now it's on to our Game of the Week, New Lexington in Sheridan. If the Generals don't reel in a win tonight, there's a 50-50 chance they make the playoffs. But a win means they're in. NVL reporter Andrew Volpe has the latest.
Well, Haley, we talked about Region 11 all season long, and for a 5-4 Sheridan team that's on the playoff bubble, believe it or not, playing an 8-1 NVL small champion team may be a good thing. To say this has been a one-sided decade would be an understatement. New Lex hasn't beaten Sheridan since 2013, and in those 10 games, the Generals have won by an average of 25 points.
Wow, so history is on the side of the Generals, knowing they need an 11th straight win over the Panthers.
Yeah, Haley, but don't be deceived. This Panthers offense is different this season. Isaiah Stevens has been a monster at quarterback for the Panthers, leading the charge with nearly 2,000 passing yards and 27 total TDs. His backfield partner Carson Kellogg has also been tough to bring down as he averages 92 yards per game on the ground and has 12 trips to the end zone. Finally, receiver Bentley Hansen has wreaked havoc on the secondaries of the MVL with 890 yards and 10 touchdowns. Paul Culver, knowing Sheridan needs this win, but is not going to start the way he wants. What looks to be a handoff to Carson Kellogg switches into a flea flicker, and Stevens tosses it to Bentley Hansen, putting the Lex deep in General's territory. It doesn't take long for the Panthers to punch it in. Stevens to Talon Schwendeman, and that's 6. 2-point conversion was successful, 8-0 Panthers. On the kickoff, New Lex looking for momentum. Onside kick incoming, and a scramble gives it to the Panthers. New Lex couldn't do much with it as the drive stalled. Now, Generals have moved the ball down inside the 10 and are going for 4th and goal, but that's not working. Give the ball back to New Lex. The teams traded possessions, and Sheridan added a field goal before the Generals finally found the end zone. Logan Russell with a hard run to the pylon, 10-8 Generals. Ensuing drive for New Lex, and the Panthers aren't playing. Stevens is going to air it out, and you already know who's on the other end. That's a 65-yard score for Bentley Hansen and a New Lex lead. Panthers have their opening drive of the second and are seeking a knockout punch. Hansen on the catch and run. He'll find his way all the way to the end zone for the second time and put New Lex ahead 29-10. Panthers take a controlling win and win it 36-10, finishing with their best regular season record since 2008 at 9-1. Really, from start to finish, New Lex was the more determined team, and they controlled this one.
Yeah, I was surprised that Sheridan only put up 10 points. What did that New Lexington defense look like?
Well, the offense for New Lex gets a lot of the credit, but you have to keep an eye on this defense. They do a lot of good things. They made the offense difficult for Sheridan. Tice Whiteman struggled. Their strong pass coverage down the field was tough to break. Their front seven is a really good rush defense. They made big plays all nights long, including an Owen O'Brien interception, which you're seeing here. It is a tough defense to play against. Even when Sheridan got down the red zone, it was stops for New Lex.
And I keep hearing the name Bentley Hansen. It seemed he put up another big performance. What does this mean to the team?
Well, Hansen is quite literally doing everything for this team. He catches passes. He defends passes. He scored 3 times tonight. He even blocked a punt. It is harder to find things he doesn't do than things that he does for this New Lex team. And he means so much for this team. He's an integral part of them, an integral part of the offense, and you can see how much his teammates love him.
Absolutely. But let's talk about Sheridan. What held him back tonight?
Well, they're a young team, and we just didn't know if they were going to be ready for a game of this magnitude, and unfortunately weren't. But there is a lot to build on for Paul Culver and his Sheridan team. And despite the loss, they didn't get the help that they needed to make the playoffs for Sheridan.
And for New Lex, they jumped to a top 4 seed in Region 15. Thanks, Andrew. Unofficially, the New Lexington Panthers sit in the 3 seed in the region. The Unioto Sherman Tanks hold the 4 spot. They are projected to take on West Holmes. The Logan Elm Braves currently sit in 6. 1 spot behind is the Fairfield Union Falcons. Now to one of the toughest regions in the state, Region 11. Sheridan's loss was a big one as they're projected to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Warren is currently the team ahead of them at 16. MVL Big Champion Tri-Valley is projected to clinch a top 4 seed and unofficially sit at 3rd. MSL Buckeye champion Bloom Carroll is projected to be a 5 seed, and Jackson has clinched a playoff game, but it's unclear whether it will be at home or on the road. Now the evening is winding down, which means it's time for top plays. For some teams, tonight was the last opportunity to give it their all. As always, let's start at number 5. This one comes from the Warren Marietta game where Warrior Nick Crease is found about 20 yards down. This was insane, and he proves that he can catch anything, even with Tigers around. Talk about thriving under pressure. Man, what a catch. And the scenery in our 4th top play might look a little familiar, but that's because it's the same squads. This time, it's a clutch moment for Marietta. Drew Warren lets one fly, and it soars right through Warrior hands, and Owen Riley secures the rock for a Tiger tutty. Are y'all top play clip farming? Number 3 this evening is straight out of Fairland. Ethan Wall throws a dot to his man, Jack Hayden, and Hayden knows a little dirt don't hurt, or mud in this instance. The Elements got nothing on this kid. Only 2 more plays left to go. And number 2 is from our game of the week. New Lexington beautifully executes this trick play, and next thing you know, it's Bentley Hansen shaking off a defender and landing deep in the red zone, plus a flex towards the student section. And here it is, our final top play of the regular season, and it's running back Nolan Johnson from Jackson. He takes the pitch, slides past defender, shrugs off a defender while tiptoeing inbounds, and he'll break one more tackle for good measure, very deserving of the top slot. Week 10 is now said and done, and next week the playoffs will kick off. But in the meantime, check out our socials for more on our games this evening and the official playoff standings once they are released, because there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling, keeping homes cool all summer with Tempstar. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC service and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel. Support comes from Ohio's 529 College Advantage, helping families save tax-free for college and career training nationwide for 35 years. Information on Ohio's 529 can be found at collegeadvantage.com/Bobcats. Support comes from O'Neill Hartman Insurance, a full-service, third-generation, locally owned agency focusing on building personal relationships and providing professional service to individuals and businesses. Information on the web and on Facebook. Additional support from Donato's Pizza, featuring pizza, subs, salads, and catering from their Athens location at 688 East State Street. Information at donatospizza.com or 740-592-5049.
You are watching WOUB TV in Athens and WOUB